Becoming good at playing guitar is actually pretty simple. Here is how to do it in 3 steps. Step 1. Learn everything. Learn every scale in all 12 keys in all positions all over the fretboard. Repeat the same thing for every arpeggio of every chord that exists. Learn how to play jazz, blues, funk, rock, metal and classical music. Learn every guitar technique there is. Practice sweep picking, alternate picking, economy picking, hybrid picking, finger picking. Focus on improving your fretboard orientation every day. Practice spider exercise daily for finger mobility. All over the fretboard, all variations, no exceptions. Learn as much about music theory as possible. Also, don't forget to work on your rhythm. Practice with the metronome daily. Last but not least, ear training. Download an app and work on identifying all the intervals up and down, melodically and harmonically. Once done with that, continue with chords and scales. Step number 2. Practice as much as you can. If you want to be a good guitar player, you need to practice a lot. It is absolutely crucial that you practice at least 4 hours a day. That is the bare minimum. Buy yourself a stopwatch or timer, you will need one. It doesn't matter if you feel tired or burned out, you need to follow through your routine, every day, no exceptions. Step number 3. Wait. This was all just a joke. I hope it didn't take me seriously. But if you've spent some time online, you might get this impression that to become good at playing guitar, you need to know everything and practice all the time. But this is simply not true, and I'll show you why in this video. Over the past few years, I spent a lot of time thinking about the best way how to become exceptionally good at playing guitar. And I think I came to some unusual insights that might help you a lot. And I know that because they have helped many of my guitar students who put them into practice. Learning to play guitar at a high level becomes a much less daunting task. Granted, becoming really good takes a lot of time, but I think you can massively reduce the amount of time you need if you follow the advice I am about to share with you. So buckle up and let's get going. First, let me show you a big problem the traditional way of teaching guitar has. Everything is quite smooth when you are a beginner because all the stuff that you are learning is highly relevant stuff like basic chords, rhythms and basic guitar techniques. You will still use all of this stuff even after 20 years of playing guitar. The problem arises when you get to the intermediate level. Now it feels as if floodgate of information got open. And the thing is that it stops being obvious what to focus on. Everything seems relevant and important. Everything wants your attention and time. And it is pretty easy to fill any amount of hours of guitar practice with different exercises. And this is exactly the point where it all starts to feel very daunting. You start to feel like there is no way that you ever be able to conquer this avalanche. The moment you are satisfied with progress you've made in one exercise, there are 3 more screaming for your attention. You always feel like you are behind no matter how much you practice. Nothing is enough. This is exactly how I felt when I was trying to improve my skills past intermediate level. It felt impossible and my level of frustration was over the top. And it took me years to figure out that what was the problem. And I realized that it was not really me, but that problem was in the way I was taught guitar. And the problem with the traditional way of teaching guitar is that it is upside down. Let's take pentatonic scale for example. Usual way of teaching the scale is to show you all the fingerings in all positions all over the fretboard. And then you are expected to practice them until you are familiar with the scale all over the neck. But there are 2 problems with this. First, this approach assumes that all the positions of pentatonic scale are all equally important for you. And second problem is that playing scales up and down the fretboard without phrasing, dynamics and musical context is kind of useless. If you play guitar for a while, you know that your favorite players use certain parts of the scale much more often than the other. There is a reason why this box is called B.B. King box. He played in that box most of the time. What I'm trying to say is that not every shape and every position of pentatonic scale is important for you right now in the beginning, and therefore you don't need to start with all 5 of them. You might start playing in the B.B. King box for a while, learning few licks and getting to know it really well, but then you discover Stevie Ray and you start spending more time in the first position. And then you find someone like Josh Smith who can seamlessly connect all those positions and you start working on that. So the end result, to know to play pentatonic scale all over the fretboard, can be achieved also if you start with specific little position like B.B. King box and then expand when some other player starts to influence you. But the big difference is that if you start from a specific example, you will right away learn how to use that scale musically. That means you know over which chord it fits, how to phrase over that chord and so on. However, if you start with all the fingerings first, you just get overwhelmed by all those shapes trying to memorize them. And even when you achieve this, your solos still sound like playing a scale up and down. And unfortunately, I see many intermediate guitarists get stuck with those fingerings for a very long time. And the same approach is usually used for arpeggios, music theory, rhythm exercises, ear training, and so on. First comes the general stuff, and then, maybe, some specific examples. The problem with this is that you are flooded with too much information you don't really know how to use right off the gate. And it is impossible to have use for 5 fingerings of pentatonic scale when you don't even know how to use one. So this traditional way of teaching guitar is very overwhelming, slow, and time-consuming. But I think there is a better and much faster way how to learn to play guitar. And the solution is simple. You just have to reverse the order. You have to identify what specific core skills you need to become the guitar player you wish to be, and then start working on those skills through learning specific musical examples in specific musical contexts. Imagine that this circle right here represents the total of all guitar skills that you can acquire. These are all guitar techniques, all the songs you can learn, every guitar exercise under the sun. There is no human on earth that can learn all this, so don't worry, you don't need to either. Even players like Guthrie Gowan or Tommy Emmanuel cover circles maybe this big. Now, for example, if you want to become a very good rock guitarist, you need much smaller circle. You probably need only this much. This small circle right here represents all the stuff that once learned will make you a solid rock guitar player. If you focus only on these core skills, you will get better much faster, because you don't waste your time on things that don't matter for your goals. You can upgrade your focus and practice habits only so much. To really save years of guitar practice, you need to brutally cut off everything that is not necessary. And this doesn't mean that you are lazy. This means you are smart. So the first step to see a massive improvement in your skills is to find out what does your specific circle need to consist of. And what guitar techniques, what songs, which scales and exercises and so on. I've talked about that in this video right here. And once you have a more specific idea what kind of skills and knowledge you need to acquire, then the step 2 is to start closing the gap between where you are and where you want to be by working on specific musical examples. Here is how to do it. Let's say I want to be a solid blues lead guitarist. I can go the traditional way and start learning pentatonic scale, blues scale, dominant 7 arpeggios, and so on. But we don't want to do that. So instead of practicing all those things like pentatonic, blues scale, and arpeggios, I would find licks that I absolutely love, learn them, and deconstruct them. And deconstructing means understanding how they were created. So that is what scale was used, over which chord these licks work, and how they work rhythmically. This is the most important step. If you only copy what somebody else played without understanding the thought process behind it, you are missing the critical thing, the principles that are at work. Once you understand those, you can create endless amount of your own licks. It is the exact process I used for this solo. By analyzing your favorite players, you will become aware of your lack of skills and knowledge that stops you from becoming the player you want to be. So the only next logical step is to start closing the gap. You learn, you drill the technique, you write your own music to apply everything you have learned. It is not about luck or talent, it is about understanding and willingness to do the work. It is that simple. And I can guarantee you that if you use this approach, you will become much better guitar player much faster. The one idea I really want you to get from this video is that getting good on guitar is much simpler than you were led to believe. If you cut out all the unnecessary stuff and fluff, which is like 90% of what you are currently practicing, you will skyrocket your skills. Alright, that is it for this video, my friends. Thank you for watching. Get after it.